net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is the best way for you to exit highly appreciated assets, defer hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars of tax, create and preserve more wealth, and exit when it makes sense for you. And so we really believe that the Deferred Sales Trust is a great way to exit. But in particular, we think it's a great time to exit right now. We really think that the Deferred Sales Trust makes a lot of sense. And so we're going to go through 6 reasons why the Deferred Sales Trust makes sense right now. And let's define making sense. Well, it's making wise decisions with growing your wealth, with preserving your wealth, with exiting highly appreciated assets. And so the first thing right now that I think is so important, given there's so many uncertainties going on with the economy, with headwinds, with inflation, with overseas tensions and wars and rising prices, maybe even overpriced real estate and the stock market and cryptocurrency, kind of a lot of it in turmoil. All these changes that are going on, we believe more than ever, for the number one reason why the Deferred Sales Trust makes sense right now is diversification. And a diversification gives you the ability to not have all of your eggs in one basket. Our parents taught us to not take on too much risk on one single thing. And so if you have highly appreciated cryptocurrency, businesses, real estate, a primary home, and you're wanting to exit, and a lot of your net worth is tied up into that. And how much is that? I mean, some of my clients, before they meet us, they have 50, 60, 70, 80, sometimes 100% of their net worth is tied to this one single asset that they've been holding on for many years, right? Or huge concentration of cryptocurrency. And so if you can sell that, and this is why the deferred sales makes sense, not only defer the tax, which is huge, right? But then be able to diversify the collateral, the equity, the investments on the underlying part of that cash. That's really decreases your risk, and we like to say be able to sleep well at night or sleep better at night, knowing that if one single thing fails, it's not taking out the majority of your net worth. So right now is a great time to diversify, okay, which leads into the number 2 reason why the Deferred Sales Trust makes sense, and that is debt freedom, the ability to be out of debt and to be able to, like Dave Ramsey would say, get a debt-free plan for whatever that you're selling. We just helped a client. In fact, they had about $4 million of debt on about a $12 million asset that they sold in San Diego. And so this amount of debt across 4 partners, they were able to sell and exit and not only defer the capital gains tax using the Deferred Sales Trust, but they didn't have to replace the debt like a 1031 exchange requires you to do. It's equal or greater value, equal or greater debt. And instead, their cash is liquid, it's diversified, it's tax deferred, and it's waiting to strike when the iron is hot. So you don't want to have too much debt. In the 2008 crash, I remember going through that. I don't know if you remember that. But part of the people who got hurt the most were those who had too much debt, not enough liquidity, and not enough diversification, which does lead us into the third reason why the Deferred Sales Trust makes a lot of sense, and that is liquidity, okay? So being able to move quickly, be able to service other debts, or being able to have money and capital helps to keep you in a safe position should you need capital right now. I know I have some clients that are retiring that want the ability to have liquidity, don't have to wait for an asset to sell or refinance to get that cash out. So the Deferred Sales Trust, if you can sell high now and have your funds in liquid investments, you don't have to worry about running out of cash or not being able to get to the cash in a quick manner. So liquidity is very important and why it makes sense for the Deferred Sales Trust, number 3. Number 4 is optimal timing. And this is the idea to have entrepreneurial freedom, to be able to buy real estate when it makes sense. Our parents taught us to sell high, right, and buy low. They didn't teach us to sell high and buy higher 180 days later, right? That doesn't make sense, right? So the point of being able to exit high and buy low makes a lot of sense. And the Deferred Sales Trust gives you that ability. I'll give you an example of this. We call it the Monday morning quarterback. A gentleman in 2006 sold a $20 million asset in Minnesota, and it was a big commercial real estate property. And he put it into the Deferred Sales Trust, all of the funds, deferred all the tax. Well, 5 years later, that same property was foreclosed on, and the bank called him up and said, "Hey, do you want to buy it back?" And he said, "Sure, what's the price?" And he said, "Well, about 60 cents on the dollar." He said, "That sounds like a pretty good deal. Give me a few days." Well, he was able to reallocate the investments in the trust and purchase that property back at a 40% discount. We define that as optimal timing. He sold high, he bought low, he deferred the tax, and he did that using the Deferred Sales Trust. We also did a recent deal for a cryptocurrency owner where she exited cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin that is particular, at $54,000 a coin. And she was up millions and millions and millions of dollars, and she was able to exit at a high price. And that helped her defer the tax and to diversify that equity into a business venture. So that's what's optimal timing. You want to buy when it makes sense for you, which leads into number six. Number six is estate planning. So some of our ultra high net worth clients that are above 22 million married or 12 million single, they have what's called a death tax or an estate tax challenge. It's no longer just capital gains tax, which we call the tiger by the tail. It's really estate tax, which is the big elephant in the room. And what's that amount? Well, it's actually 40% of anything that's above those numbers. Again, if you're married, 22 million about, and then if you're single, 12. However, in 2025 and in 2025, they're looking at those amounts being cut in half. Okay, so you want to look at what's your estate, how much is subject to estate tax, right? How much gifting have you used, and knowing that the Deferred Sales Trust makes a lot of sense because in one single day and one exit with the Deferred Sales Trust, without giving it away to charity, without gifting it to kids, without having to buy a bunch of life insurance, you can have that equity exit your taxable estate, which can save your heirs 40%. That is incredible. You want to take a look at that for sure if you have any estate tax challenges. The other part of estate planning has to do with the fact that you might have multiple kids who have different interests in different things in different ways. I have a client we're working with. I actually sold his multifamily apartment complex in Folsom, California, and he has 4 kids. And beyond that property, he had another property in San Francisco on the beach. And he's going, "Brett, one kid wants to move in, one doesn't care, one wants to renovate, one wants to sell." He goes, "They all have these different interests in this." He goes, "I would like to just to be able to sell now, defer the tax, and then upon me passing away, that the income from the trust just pays out evenly to each child. Is there a way to do that? I can simplify my estate, not having to feel like I have to hold on to everything, die to get the stepped up basis, just for my kids to argue about what should be done on the rest of it." And so for him, it was peace of mind to keep the siblings at peace and not having to feel like they're going to be arguing about what should happen once mom and dad dies. He can just do it right now and have it just the funds coming out really, really, really clean and simple with the Deferred Sales Trust. And the last reason is asset protection. Asset protection. You want to make sure that you have ways to protect yourself should creditors come to you. The Deferred Sales Trust is really interesting. Remember that the nature of it is that you change the characteristic of being an owner to being a lender. Okay. And so by doing that is how we're able to get the flexibility with the timing of the Deferred Sales Trust. But as a lender, since you don't own the trust, someone can't sue you for what you don't own, right? And so you don't own the trust. The money is owed to you. Now, could a judgment be made where any of the interest payments that you're receiving in a given year be subject to that judgment? Yes, that could happen, right? So that is something to be aware of. But this is a way to exit multiple assets and get the majority asset protection, get protection from those creditors. So those are the top 6 reasons. Again, diversification, debt freedom, liquidity, optimal timing, estate planning, asset protection. Hey, we want to teach you how the Deferred Sales Trust works and empower you with the strategy so you never have to feel trapped when selling assets of any kind, whether it be cryptocurrency or business or real estate or high-end primary homes. We've closed all of those transactions, and we have a book that's coming out to talk about more about that and give you more of an in-depth view of this. It's called Building a Tax-Deferred Exit Strategy, and we want to be your guide to help you do this. using the Deferred Sales Trust. That's what we focus like a laser on. But it's really the proven playbook for unlocking your ideal wealth plan when selling assets of any kind for yourself or your clients. And we have some really smart people in it, like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank and a number of others that are really wise individuals, experienced individuals. And so if you want to check that out, look for that on Amazon here in the next 30 days or so. But in the meantime, if you're ready to get started with your Deferred Sales Trust, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. You can also join. I want to invite you personally to join our free masterclass. It's totally free every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to register for that. Other than that, please rate, review, subscribe. Please share this with someone who could help. We so appreciate everyone out there who's listening on YouTube, on iTunes, also the Expert CRE Secrets podcast and YouTube channel. We appreciate everyone out there, and we hope to talk to you